Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight it's Hump Day, which means we're going to get into some serious woo talking about aliens, ET contact. Paul and Syann Hamden are here all the way from Australia. Yes, they say I am alive tomorrow, and so are all of you, which is a good sign we made it another day. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon tonight, and so are all of you. We have Race Fan in the gold medal position. Raymond L. taking over silver. Human Carl with a nice bronze medal tonight. And we continue on with Laura Lobbs, Dino Bravo, Deer Slayer. How you guys doing? Roy Boy and Tim Mothman's goatee. Michael Morris, our resident lawyer. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Robert Lamoth, Jenny Whitebear, thank you for joining us. As we continue on with roll call, we have Missouri Man, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Jack Clark is here. Jack Clark will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Ruth Kleber, nice to see you. Brown Dwarf, The Debster, Nancy Thames, W. Decker. Karen and the Woo Train is here. And just because of that name, Karen and the Woo Train will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Sapphire Elf, how are you? Black Dragon, a great Marine, how are you? D. Cypher, thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Mary R., how are you? Thank you for joining us. JSCO, Peppa H., and Enki, how are you? Peppa H., once again, thank you for coming on in as we continue on. There's Luscious Jewels. Tracker C, it's Tracker C's birthday. You know what that means. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tracker C. Happy birthday to you. There you go, my friend. Have a good one. Thank you. And hope your birthday is phenomenal. Sweet Donna C. Number 21 in your program from Stockholm, Sweden, starting at center ice. Lars Janssen. All right, Susan Alloway, Amy, Vegas. Oh, my goodness, you look so good tonight. T-Bone, how are you? Stargazer, Belenia, my man. W. David Page, Penman, Elliot D., thank you for coming on in. All right, let's continue on. There's Jessica S. Charles Kerr, Peter Thorgerson, Noble Patrick. Good to have you all here. Let's continue on. Linda B., Mario Panopoulos. Welcome to SOR Chat. Matthew Gutka, Science Melinda, and Ozzy, what's happening? Pixie Lara, Richard Elmore, thank you for coming on in. Hello, Vanessa and Asteroid. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start our first show in 3 days. And hold on here. Little Timmy Senor, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. I'm doing roll call. Are you? I got Terry covering for you tonight. That's okay. Okay. Bye. Little Timmy Senor will not make it tonight because he has a forest fire by his house and he's been evacuated. But don't worry, his house is okay. It's okay. Nina Williams, Chris, Teen, good to have you back. Science Melinda again, because we say it so nice, it's twice. Or say it twice because it's so nice. Pam Harris, thank you for joining us. Who else do we have? Terry Brown and friend of Squirrel, SG Dav Spotter, T2E. Good to see you. All right. Renee, thanks for coming on in. We're running out of time here. Toothbrush, Skip to Malou, D. Cohen, and that's about it. We'll get the rest on typing. And for all of you, let's have a great show. Super Chat is open. Horns up. Let's rock. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do Old Navy the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. A great show of entertainment tonight as we connect with the stars from Zeta Reticuli. Paul and Syann Hamden are here to talk about the Zetas. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton is here for the cryptid, or make that a great story from Among the Missing. Then the UFO report. We have Terry Hall filling in for Little Timmy Senor as our Timbit has been, what do you say? What do you call that? Evacuated from his house in Oregon due to a wildfire. But don't worry, Little Timmy's all right. His house is all right as well. And anybody who's affected by forest fires or wildfires this year, if you're listening in, hey, we're sending you love and prayers, man. We really are. All right, let's get right into it tonight. Paul Hamden is a lifelong contactee of the Zeta race and has clear conscious recall of his contact with the beings that he works with. He and his wife, Syann, have regular visitation by the Zetas and other beings, including craft visits, which have been experienced by others in their presence as well. I tell you, when you have this kind of woo going on, you have to share it with the world. You have to. You don't have a choice. You got to get out there. You got to tell your stories. You got to show people who are around you the evidence. And I'm telling you, these aliens, a lot of them, they want us to speak. They want their message getting out to humanity that they are eventually going to be a part of us. Let's bring in Paul and Syann Hamden. And we really appreciate them joining us all the way from Australia. Thank you so much, Paul and Syann. It's good to see you both. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
It's been a while, Paul, since we had you on the show. And last time there were beings all around you, and you were doing some serious channeling and giving us a lot of updates on what's going on. Let's start with you, Paul, in regards to the fact that this has been a lifelong journey for you. How did this start?
Well, when I was 5 years old, I was taken up on the craft out of a locked house. When I went up onto the craft, I was taken into an area where there were a whole lot of other people, other humans on board. I was obviously a child, and I met Syann on that craft as well. And of course, there's an age difference, but we were able to be the same age at the same time. Then about Oh, when I was 18, I was one of the Tic Tac craft came, one of the extraterrestrial craft, and I had friends with me. And the craft was only about 8 meters away from us and stationary, and the side went clear. And the two beings that were inside the craft showed themselves to myself and my three friends. It was during the day as well, and it was clear to see the Zetas inside the craft. Then later on, we had I had a lot of contact all the way through, but started working as a medium and sort of working with spirit people. And one of the Zetas started to come through, speaking through me to the group of people that we had in the sitting. And somebody was clever enough to say to them, well, if you're who you say you are, then what evidence can you bring us? And they said, well, we can bring a craft and we can land the craft. And so they organised with the being to bring a craft, and it was going to be in 2 weeks' time. And so we spent some time organising a landing site in New South Wales in Australia. And we had about 20 people there. And there's a lot to the story, but basically the craft landed and about 10 Zetas came out and walked around everybody. So that was really a great time to have physical contact with them up close. I mean, like 12 inches away from us. So it was pretty cool. And then Syann and myself, we've had a craft come down over the house. We were allowed to record it on audio, and the Zetas used it was a sonic type noise or a sonar type noise that used to lower the craft down, and beings came out. So, when we talk about having contact, for us, it's more about making sure that we try to have people with us when the Zetas come. Quite often the Zetas also show themselves through my mediumship, through what's called transfiguration as well. So, people obviously can talk to the Zetas, and then there's obviously the testimonials on our website in regards to the healings that the Zetas have done with people as well. So it's quite an interesting journey that we have with them.
Why do you think you were chosen for this journey?
I don't think I was chosen. I believe that all humans have the capacity to get contact, but it depends on what you're willing to accept as contact. And this was, we were speaking at the Cardwell UFO Festival the other week, and everyone was talking about, disclosure. And I said, well, what if it's not about disclosure? What if it's about your relationship with beings that come and visit you, but they can only relate to you on a level that you allow them to relate to you? And so personally, I went through a bit of a difficult journey of meditation and contact and energy, where I asked them to not put me into an anesthetized state. And so that when they came, I had to be able to support myself in their presence, in their frequency. And in doing so, they were able to then come into the area that I was in much more clearly, much more into that, the visual range as well, and be seen by other people as well. And that was one thing, as I said, I'd always ask them, was if they could make sure that other people were around when they came.
The fact that you guys have been able to give testimony to other people and provide eyewitness testimony to them, think says a lot to what you guys are doing, because a lot of people don't have that luck. I don't have that luck, in order to say, like, I'm one of those people where it's a trust me bro kind of thing, where you have to take my word at it. But here you guys are out there providing, Paul, these encounters with something that's non-human, but very much in our humanity. I mean, how does that work for you? Like, does it happen every time? Does it happen once every few times? Or what?
Yeah,
Take us through that.
that's a really good question. And look, I know that people so, if we discuss the phenomenon is basically where people go outside and as a group, maybe you see 5, calling craft, and they'll see a flash of light in the sky. And I mean, obviously that happens because it's the phenomenon. It's just reflecting back people's consciousness to themselves, or it's actually craft. But I've always said to the Zetas, I've got a really big problem with that because I'm skeptical. And so I want to know that my life actually means something that's important to me, right? So if I'm going to have contact with beings and give them, the time of my life, so I, committed to working with them, they need to know that they have to provide proper evidence. I know that a lot of people at the moment are just quite happy to say that they work with aliens and all that, and that really doesn't bother us at all. It's more about, on a personal level, what are they able to produce? What are they able to do to support humanity as well? And this is why we've got video testimony on our YouTube channel, The Zeta Connection. Mary Rodwell was healed by the Zetas. She used to be the international director of MUFON.
You mean Kathleen?
Oh, sorry, wrong person. Sorry, but she probably may have been anyway. And so one of the scientists that works with us, William Trinite, was also healed, as was his wife. Other people, there's multitudes of testimony as well on the website as well. So.
Yeah, it's really difficult to ask people to come forward, because it's difficult enough, I think, for people to admit that they may have spoken to extraterrestrials through a medium and, and all the ridicule that then may follow, to then get them to say, oh, and would you mind just writing us or going on video to say that, that skin cancer that you had when you came and saw them and they came and got you, took you onto craft, and when you went to the hospital next day to have it removed had gone, because that's what they said they were going to do. Of course, that's something else, isn't it? So we're really grateful to the people that have felt confident enough to come forward and speak on our behalf, really.
It's been good.
It's really we really appreciate that from them.
Now, Syann, you are a lifelong contactee too. And this is something that is very important to your mantra on a personal human level to get this message out. What's your first recollection of having contact?
I think my earliest memory ever is of contact. When I was about 3.5, 4 years old, they would come and I would see them in where I was living at the time in the middle of the night. Can't tell you what time it was. I've got no idea, but all the parents are asleep, family are asleep, and I'm up, and they're presenting themselves to me in a way that's not going to be terrifying and scary for a small child. You might have heard, I'm sure you're well aware, that most people report clowns and owls and deer. Well, I had the Easter Bunny. As crazy as that sounds, only they were 6-7 foot tall and standing in my hallway. Goodness knows what time o'clock in the morning or night. And they would come and visit me that way. They would take me onto craft. I would be, again, playing with children my own age. We'd be given toys to play with. I only recall these toys as like soft patchwork dolls, but we've been told that's just a sort of partial screen memory. They were actually multi-dimensional, psychic type ability training toys that we were all given. But I don't remember that. I just remember the dolls, and I would be searching my house where I lived for weeks and weeks after looking for these toys that, of course, I could never find because they were never there. They were on board craft. So, my earliest memories are of them visiting. That carried on until I was in my early teens. Then there was a bit of a gap, a lull. I then started sitting for physical mediumship. Leslie Flint is one of those famous names you may or may not have heard or come across. Where spirit people use your life force to show themselves. And I had a group of people that would meet with me every week. We would sit in seance conditions, a blacked out room with a full red light, and their loved ones would come through and show their faces over mine and speak to them. If they were male relatives, they would speak in their own male voice to the people. And that was going really great up until the Zetas decided to show themselves. And for weeks and weeks, I'd be having people telling me, okay, we're not seeing human faces over you anymore. We're seeing extraterrestrial faces. And I'm like, I didn't know what they were talking about, because they were referring to them as the face from Communion. I'd never heard of that film. I had no idea what it was. A couple of weeks went by and I decided I better find out, because I really don't know what they're going on about. And when I saw the face, I was like, oh boy, okay, that's really not human, is it? So that's how my development actually led me to meet Paul again, because I went online looking for somebody who might be able to help me work out what on earth was going on. So that's how I found Paul.
So you two come together. You've kind of become a power couple of information because of the voices you are able to provide from the Zetas. And a lot of people have looked at the Zetas over the years as aliens that take us without our permission, aliens that come into our bedrooms at night and block our memories to what's going on. Now, I'm not naive enough to believe that there are numerous different species out there that look the same, that are doing this. Who are the Zetas and what are they about, Syann?
Oh, me. Yeah. Okay. I was looking for Paul there. We work with the Zetas. The Zetas is a word that they prefer to be used rather than greys, but essentially they are what everybody knows to look like the greys with variations. There are 63 races to the grey species. So if we think of the greys as a species, like humans are a species, and then you have different appearances as we go across the globe, due to varying landscape factors and evolution over the millions of years. So there are 63 races to the grey species. 62 of those species work together, abiding by the universal law of free will. There's one species of the race one race of the species that doesn't. We call them the abductors. Now, we don't want to spend too much time on them. But essentially, they are the race that basically do what they want, when they want, who they want, for whatever reason they want. Nobody has anything to do with them. The Zetas we work with expelled them from their collective consciousness, their collective community, goodness knows how long ago.
And that's the problem is that the abductors, they don't particularly have any worry about trampling on people's free will.
No.
And in doing so, they will take people on craft and they will take samples and all the rest of it. Now, that's not to say that a race won't do that you may be from. A lot of people are from extraterrestrial races and they're known as hybrids on planet, or what we call them nodes, because nodes is a process where you're sending information back to a race. It's good that people question their contact as well. I think it's important because a lot of the races that do come to people, some of them may use obfuscation, they may use screen memory technologies. We have to start to ask ourselves, why would a race use screen memory? And Syann and I over the years have come up with like 5 or 6 different categories of screen memories and why they're used as well. And we can go into that sort of later on. But I've had an encounter with the abductors, and I ended up basically the pressure of the contact was so great that my nose just started to bleed, and that they weren't even physically in the room. They were just there consciously. But that was because I had actually done some remote viewing and actually seen them sort of working on certain areas, and I guess I wasn't supposed to see them, and they came and tried to sort me out, but that didn't work out too well.
We have just a few minutes here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour here, Paul and Syann Hamden are our guests tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking about the Zetas. Now, you mentioned that you know, the Zetas are here. They give us a message. They give us a lot of different information about not only the planet, but, you know, humanity. And are they here to help? Are they wanting to try and move humanity forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the beginning, we recorded all of the sittings where the Zetas would come through, and we actually did it on video camera. And we had a few scientists that were interested in what was being said, and a book was put together called A Primer of the Zeta Race. Now, we give that book away for free. We've always given it away for free from the very beginning. I think it's about 400 or 500 pages, maybe. I'm not sure.
Plus, yes, it's a brick.
It's pretty thick. And then another book that we also give away is called the Zeta Interviews, and that's about 700 pages. Now, why so much information? Well, because the Zetas, from their perspective, believe that humans are amazing, and that humans on their best day are actually worth it, and that humans on their best day are able to be members of a collective community with other races. And the reason I keep saying on their best day is because not all humans are the same, and not all humans display those type of characteristics. But the Zetas, from their perspective, are working, as are other races as well. There are many other races on planet that are hybrids as well, hybrid status humans, such as the Arcturians, the Palladians. There's other races. Now, the Zetas step forward because technically they are able to support this physical human race. They're able to do that. A lot of the craft that are seen have been replicated by humans, and this was stated by Stephen Greer and others, that they have craft that have been back engineered. They've also got humans now have their own craft that look exactly like, in some way, the craft that the other races have. What I find interesting, Dave, is that we've got UFO hearings where everybody says, well, you know, we've got craft, we've got bodies, we've got this, we've got that. And then somebody says, oh, I'm in communication with aliens. And people go, we don't believe that person. There's complete dysfunction. You know what I mean between that?
Yeah. Yeah, I fully understand. You know, I mean, in the governmental side of everything, that she just seems to have taken over this subject. You know, I just laugh sometimes. It even came up in the presidential, you know, the Republican race for leadership, where one of the candidates basically blew off the question of UFOs, basically saying it's not important. You know, it's not an important subject that we need to be wasting time on. But here we are, and here we, you know, have more and more people coming out stating that they are having certain experiences to different levels, where it's whether it's visual contact, whether it's physical CE5 type contact, or more. I mean, at some point, when do you see, as we got about a minute to go here, Paul, when do you see the human race really kind of looking at this subject and awakening to it? Has the awakening started?
I think it doesn't matter who gives the information, as long as it provides a conversation, and the conversation's well on its way. The problem with the whole disclosure movement is that it doesn't matter how much information is brought forward to the public. One, it'll never be enough, or may not be believed. People will keep talking about manufactured evidence. But we have to think about the people that have actually been abducted and taken, and all the people that have contact. At some level, all that's happening is those people are having their contact or their abductions evidenced by the fact that there's physical evidence available for the public.
All right, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour, all the way from Australia, visiting us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Paul and Syann Hamden, they channel Zeta Reticulans. What are those channeling sessions like? How come Paul doesn't have a mustache? Why are we in contact with aliens? We're going to find out all of this great information when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. We got 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes. All right, grab your tea. Hello, gorgeous and talented Kira. Jean Beckett. It was Christy. What's Christy's first name? Chris Christie is from New Jersey, is the governor of New Jersey, who basically stated that he don't have time for the alien and UFO talk. Debster, thank you again, my dear. Excuse me. I want to give a big shout out to the following people: Terry Brown, Mr. Cowley, Mark Hayes, Simon, Ozzy Ange, Lynn, Paramarv, and Mennonite Abe for being the first 8 space travelers in our group. If you want to join the Space Travelers Club, and I highly recommend it because, it's good for your health. What you want to do is just go click the in the description below of this show. Go on in there, click the link to it. You can sign up today. That really works. It does. Hold on. I'm going to mute you guys because I got to clear my throat here. Sorry about that. Derek Galloway, how are you? Look at the dirteth filth there. Mr. Dirt Filth.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dirt. If I combine both names, can I call you Durf?
That's weird. That's probably like a ham radio name or something like that.
Yeah, you could get license plates.
We're out of dearth license plates. Repeat, out of dearth license plates.
Mm-hmm. When I was at Universal Studios like a decade ago, 12 years ago, and I went into the Quickie Mart at Universal Studios, and they were out of Bort license plates. Do you know how much I laughed at that? I said, seriously?
Awesome.
I'm like, you're out of Bort license plates? Like, how can you be out of Bort license plates? Travis DeLuca, how you doing?
Has the smoke gone away from you, Dave?
No. But we did get rain today. We got rain last night, rain today. It was 9 degrees Celsius today. Truth Seeker, how you doing, man? 9 degrees Celsius. Damn near froze my knickers off, if you know what I'm talking about. This is August. You don't do 9 degrees Celsius in August. 29, yes. Maybe a low of 19, yes. Well, you don't do 9 degrees as a freaking high in August. It's ridiculous. I like your different shading of green, dirty filth.
You got to show there's bits of different types of grass all the time.
Nice. I would let you come over and ride my lawnmower and mow my lawn.
Do I get a beer as well?
There is a beer holder in my lawnmower, yes.
Nice.
And you could eat a piece of pizza on it as well.
It's life goals, Dave.
All right. Big thank you to Deb ×2 and Lord William for the super chats. It's a wonderful, wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Also, our store on our website is open, spacedoutradio.com. We got great swag. None of that ugly stuff that you see in other places. We got nice stuff. So you want to go check it on out. Hey, Guy, how you doing, buddy? Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always enjoy talking the woo with you. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. I wanted to call it Talk Tick there for a second. I don't know why, but does anybody even go on TikTok anymore? Is the wave of TikTok over? I don't know. I really don't know. Either way, let's talk some aliens, shall we? Paul and Syann Hamden are here from the future because they're in Australia, so it's tomorrow there. And they are talking about their connection with the Zeta Greys, the Zeta Reticuli, and we're going to learn a little bit more about these very good alien folk from Paul and Syann. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. We always hear when ETs are in contact and having conversations with humans, it's the same. It seems to be the same message over and over again. Start treating your planet better. Stop, producing garbage. Treat people better. You drive electric cars. Eat more food, grassy foods. Become vegan. Whatever it may be, the message always seems to be the same. Why is that? Why do we see this universal message that we don't seem to be listening to?
It's because I think the problem with all of us is sometimes we get a little bit focused on what's happening right now around us. Can be a bit chaotic, but from different races' perspectives, they're looking on, say, the timelines, and they're saying, well, what about 100 years from now or 200 years from now? And what happens to this specific species on this planet? How will they be, the extraterrestrials or interdimensionals or beings, be affected by weaponry that's used on planet? What about all of the missions to the moon and the landings that have taken place? I think even today one landed. These technologies are going to ultimately move out into other areas of solar systems, galaxies. These other races are going to have to deal with the relationship that's going to happen to them with the human species. And so I think they're a little bit desperate on some level to make people aware that you're not alone, because you're going to affect other races. And this is why I'll suggest that a lot of the messages that are coming through are based around things like resource usage, supporting the planet, looking after your own environment. Because from their perspective, these races have had to do the same thing. They had to move past and grow past that exponential growth process. And humans are going to have to do it as well.
Okay, so being the youngsters on the block, where we're still learning how to ride a tricycle while they're, flying in spaceships, are they disappointed with us? Are they disappointed with the way humanity has so far evolved, that we're a very violent species, that we are, we want to solve everything through warring factions and politics? or religion, that really seems to cause issues with many, many people out there. And a lot of innocent people don't have a choice but to go with the flow because some person in a political mansion has made a decision that may not be popular with the remainder of the citizens. I mean, where do we go with this?
Well, from our interaction with the Zetas, it's no, what is missing is the anthropomorphized or the human component to relationship with a being. We want to have what looks like a human communication process with beings. The problem with that is that, and Syann and I were talking about this the other day. The truth is that with some races, the only level of contact that you can have with them is rather clinical at best. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree with that. Yeah.
And so you cannot assign any type of human type emotions to the communication process. We can't say that they are disappointed in us because they don't have those same emotions and feelings and constructs and biases that humans have. They see, they view this species, this human race, as from a different perspective, and that perspective is one of a growing community of beings that will ultimately join in with all of the other races to become neighbours. And so from their perspective, there is no disappointment because that would be hypocritical of them, because ultimately they would have gone through a lot of the same issues in regards to their own races developing. And those races like the Zetas or any other physical races that have had to use weaponry to defend themselves at some point would have a generational history of that information as well. So I don't see that they're disappointed in any way with humans.
They simply don't do disappointed.
No.
And they don't do proud, and they don't do excited or ecstatically happy. They don't do any extremes of what we would consider normal human emotion. They have degrees of curiosity, but they very much have said that they see this human race as a developing race, a race in its infancy that's learning and growing, and they're here to help us be better galactic neighbours. I mean, it's quite simple, really, when you say it like that, but obviously that's very complex when you start breaking it down.
Interestingly, sorry, Dave, go on.
No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's interesting, isn't it, that Gary Nolan, Grush, Greer, and a myriad of other people have all come forward, military personnel, stating, look, we've got craft and we've got bodies. Okay, so we know that there's the reality of that. Though the other races know that the humans have the craft and the bodies, but they haven't come to collect them. They've not, tried to harm humans in any way. I think from their perspective, they see humans from a different level. We were asking the Zetas about this the other day, about when a being comes into your house, how are they affected by the human being awake? And they said, when a human looks at them, what's reflected from consciousness, from the being, is what's coming from the human. And so the being, because it's in a state of amplification, basically, what happens is that any of the fears that the human has then embed themselves on the extraterrestrials. And so this is why they place a lot of people into a sleep state or come and visit people in a sleep state, because they don't want to have that fear overlay embedded over themselves.
No, I can understand that, and let's face it, humans, things that we are not used to, we are going to be scared. Okay, I mean, I'm a contactee myself, and when I feel them around, I can feel that fear starting to bubble up inside me. And it's exciting because I'm like, this time I'm going to be brave. This time I'm going to face them down. I want to see them. I want to, look them in the eyes. I want to do all this brave stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it,
pillow back over your head.
I always throw the blanket back over my head.
Yeah.
I recall times where I've known that, just my body telling me that if I turn over in bed, they're going to be there. Do I really, really want to see it? Are they inducing that fear inside of us? Just oh, no. So what is that fear then?
So basically, we've had discussions with the Zetas because we experienced that as
Yeah.
well in the beginning,
I still do.
and Syann still does. So they said what happens is the physical body and the mind of a human has no capacity to understand what true contact is. And that's why I alluded to before that when you look at these beings, quite often you will exude fear, and that fear will manifest from them back at you as well. That means that they have to deal with your fear as well as an amplified state of fear from themselves, from the human. The thing is, I remember when I said to the Zetas when I was younger, they came and they were actually taking out some technology that they'd placed in. I'd asked them to place the technology in. And I said to them when I woke up, "Oh, you're here." And they said, "Oh, we're taking the technology out. We'll put you back to sleep." I said, "No." I said, "You're never, ever going to put me back to sleep again." And they go, "You'll regret that." And they didn't mean that you'll regret that, because you're talking to us. They said, because what's going to happen is you're probably going to get injured while we technology from you. And it was true, I did get injured. But I realized that I then moved to a different place in that level of contact. And so I'll give you an example. Let's say I wake up and they're in the room. I'll just get up. Now I'm part of that process. I'll walk out. Now they may try to tell me that it's raining. And so I'll look out the window and I'll see rain. But I know in the back of my mind it's actually not raining at all. And then suddenly an orb, probably a meter across, will come into the room. It'll light the whole house up. We have to then move into an altered state to talk to them, because the only way that you can move past any levels of fear is to push yourself into an altered state, a different frequency. We call it heterodyning. So once we heterodyne into a comparative frequency, we can then start to observe them while they observe us. We're not reflecting fear towards them. They're not experiencing fear from us. And this is why quite often when you are experiencing that fear of contact, that you won't look at them, because ultimately they will be saying to you, "Don't look at us, because we don't want to experience that observation from you."
Okay, so the purpose of knocking us out and not allowing us the memory to know what's going on, or even blocking the entire memory except for faint seconds of it. What is the purpose of that? Are they doing that on purpose? Can our minds not handle the information? What would it be?
Well, I mean, you've already described the level of fear you have just knowing that they're in the room, right? Now imagine how further that fear would be amplified if you were to actually roll over, see them in their true form, and then remain conscious while they do whatever it is that they're doing, which may not be much at all as far as we're concerned. The amplification of your fear is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. When we because we work with a lot of experiences of physical abduction, the older generations experienced a lot more physical contact. They didn't have the luxury of the anesthetized state back in the beginning. The extraterrestrials, specifically the Zetas, They didn't realize the level of fear that their contact with humans would cause. These people, they suffer from PTSD over this level of contact. And with the best will in the world, the Zetas, all they could have been doing was checking that they were okay. It could be as simple as that. But the level of fear, because of the frequency differences, because it is alien, that everything, their environment, the way they look, the way they act, the way they don't act, the way they seemingly don't respond, but yet do respond. It is too much. It's overload for the human brain for most people. And it would cause our minds permanent damage, psychosis, shock, PTSD, to be going through this. They're especially careful, with younger children, younger adults, that as the mind is going through, the human mind is going through its development process, the brain, all the bits and bobs connecting, reconnecting as we grow up and we get older, that those processes happen as they should do, and that their engagement with us doesn't affect those natural biological processes that we as humans need to go through. When a human gets to around 40, 45 years of age, sometimes these narrative screen memories that they give us, and this is coming back to the categories that Paul referred to earlier, sometimes they can drop out. And they're designed to do that when the brain is at a point where it's more able to cope and accept and comprehend what's going on. And that's when we start to recall some of these memories, that they weren't quite as we thought they were, that the 7-foot Easter bunny in the hallway actually wasn't. It was a 7-foot extraterrestrial, and so it's a protective mechanism that they use for our benefit. And as frustrating as it is not being able to remember everything, and believe me, I know how frustrating it is, having experienced what I have had of conscious recall, I absolutely understand why they've done things the way they've done them. Even with all the contact we've had, the experience of working with them, of speaking to them regularly through Paul, of doing that process myself, albeit in the early stages, I still feel the fear just a bit when they turn up, but that just a bit I know is my limit. And until you work through that fear and you're able to heterodyne to their, or near to their frequency, they come down, we go up in frequency, which is also something Paul mentioned earlier. Until we're able to do that with strength of mind, as they call it, you plow through that fear, you hold your consciousness, and you're able to, in a controlled way, elevate your vibration and communicate with them. Until you can do that, they can't be with you like you'd want them to be with you. And even that will be with you is not going to be as you think it is. So it's, it's for our own good.
When the craft landed in New South Wales, basically, we were on a large property. They said they were going to come. All the animals right around all started to howl, and all at the same time. And then the steam rolled in, and it rolled right across the top of us, and then it lowered itself down. Next thing, a craft came down and had just a couple of little lights on it. Next thing, this door opens, these Zetas come out, physically walk up to us and touch us. And then after they've done that, they go back and they leave. But as Gary Nolan and others have said, that when military pilots come across these craft or these type of contact environments, what takes place is that people are sometimes harmed, but the harm is unintentional. The frequency of these craft, or the EMF, or whatever you want to call it, causes psychological disruption to humans, causes physical disruption to humans. Even people get burnt. And so the beings, when they come, they have to come in a way that's not going to affect the human to the point that the human's going to suffer any more trauma than what is not reasonably possible, but what is probably acceptable by a person. Now, we're only talking about the Zetas. We're not talking about any of the other races. But the Zetas, when they do come to their own, so we'll talk about the fact that, some people are hybrid humans on planet. that they come from other races as well, but they have a relationship with their spirit person. And what happens is they don't want to disrupt that hybrid experience for that person. They want to minimize that. And so this is why those levels of relationship with humans look like obfuscation. They look like they're not wanting to disclose themselves. They look like they're just coming around, in the dead of night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and using their technology and doing whatever they want. But ultimately, if a person's actually standing in a room with an extraterrestrial, there's going to be some physical impact on the person, and psychological impact as well.
Yeah.
I can understand that, as we got about 3.5 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. At the top of the hour, Paul and Syann Hamden are talking about connection with Zeta Reticuli. How do we know the good from the bad? If we have this fear inside of us that we can't tell the difference, how do we know?
That is an awesome question. An awesome question. I think common sense dictates that we, as humans, get to know each other before we say that we are in a relationship or that somebody is a friend. But what we see with people is that they start off quite quickly in their relationship with races. They don't ask the right questions. They don't try to get those beings to evidence themselves in a way that may be meaningful to a human as well. And so from their perspective, from a person's perspective, they need to be laying down the rules. Like I did with my contact, I said, no, I'm not doing this. If you want to work, if you want to come into my space, you've got to abide by, the levels of disclosure. You have to put forward the fact that I'm going to have other people with me. And if a being's not going to do that, then of course that being's probably not working for your best or highest good at all.
Okay, so do we allow our own consciousness to decipher that?
Sorry, Dave, could you say that again?
Do we allow our own consciousness to decipher that, whether it's good or bad?
Well, this is where you come back to the level of evidence that you're being given. So you would say to the beings, okay, how can you evidence yourself to me? And the beings will have to come up with a way to do that for themselves. It's no good saying to them, okay, I want you to do these 5 things for me, because those 5 things could be just really materialistic things. Whereas you would find that beings of an proper extraterrestrial nature would be giving you levels of evidence that were based around things that related to helping people, rather than just supplying you with Tats Lotto numbers and a whole lot of other information that you think's important to you.
Okay, so it really is something that we have to figure out on our own then.
Contact is individual.
Yeah.
And nobody, and this is what I think people in the know that probably are on the inside would know, that these beings choose how they'll communicate with other organizations, with that. These beings also decide what information they'll give, because they've seen how humans have mismanaged the technology they've back engineered. And so, yeah, it's an individual thing, and it's up to the person to use some common sense when they are being contacted.
All right, guys, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because hard to believe we're already through 1 hour here on Spaced Out Radio. This is Flying On By with our guest, Paul and Syann Hamden, who are visiting us from Australia to talk about alien contact with the Zeta Greys, the Zeta Reticuli. They prefer the Zetas. Yeah, keep the gray part out of it. They don't like that. Alien coverage, alien talk, alien contact. When we return for hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio, your questions if you're in our chat room as well. Stay tuned. More to come. All right, guys, we got 6 minutes 6 minutes, and we're going to turn things over to the dirty one to talk about his piece of art here. And thank you so much to Paul Christensen, our latest space traveler, joining the Space Travelers Club. Appreciate it, Paul. Thank you for the love. Dirty, go ahead.
Well, we gotta. Excuse me.
Do you know what you're gonna say?
Yeah, I didn't feel like hacking into the microphone like
Yeah,
Dave.
that's my fault.
So
All right, I'll be right back. You go. You just talk. You're too nervous around
Dave.
me.
Oh yeah, Dave's there. He is. He's gone now. Hi, Kira. Hi, Steve. The Missouri man. Anybody else I missed? Plethora. All right. We've got Dave dialing C for Zeta. And an alien showed up. What's the difference between a small gray and tall gray? One is small and one is tall. Justin, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever met an alien. I've met some weird people. Never an alien. But probably similar to humans, I'm pretty sure there'd probably be good and bad ones. Some probably eat Nanaimo bars and disgusting things like that. Meow. The gremlin is hanging out with me. All the other cats are downstairs. That's about right, Patrick Noble. About 3 feet. No, Peter, I am not a grown cat. I am thoroughly human. Yeah, Kira, that's his little craft there. Peppa H. I could probably do that one day. I usually pencil the drawing sometime during the day, and then I scribble out a whole bunch of ideas. I've got like an art book full of ideas, and then I just start panicking and end up drawing something else about 5 minutes before the show. I'm not sure Blob would make a good president, Monica. She's lazy, uninspired. She just wants snacks, lay out in the sun. I guess that's what most politicians do anyways. Yeah, Blob is definitely downstairs. How long I've been drawing Lord William? I don't know. My entire life, basically. Used to draw lots of realistic stuff, and then I kind of decided I got stuck doing watercolor, and I decided to stick with it. I could have Blob for vice president. I'd rather have Blob for prime minister of Canada. She'd probably say all cats get snacks at every hour of the day of something. Do I have a favorite pencil? Yes, I do. Love the 4H always, because it's it's really light. I can draw with it, and then afterwards I can paint over it. You don't really see it. 4H is the best. I had a friend give me a stack of them one day. Especially this brand. Staedtler. They should sponsor me. And then also Danielle Smith Paint should also sponsor you. If any of the representatives are listening, get in touch with me. Kira, you have to get at least 2 cats.
Hi, Dirty.
Hi, Dave. A tube of paint. Well, usually I cut them open so they dry up. And about a year or so.
If you guys have any questions for our guests, hi, Charles Kerr, pardon me. If you have any questions for our guests, you can put them in capital letters. I want to say thank you tonight to our newest space travelers, as we have Susie B., Paul Christensen, Lord William. Appreciate the love. Thank you, Susie B., for joining the club. And a big thank you tonight to Deb ×2, Lord ×2, Izzy Stradlin, and Cat Chaser for the great super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And our store is open, spacedoutradio.com. Let's get the swag going. And here we go. Oh, blob alert. We got a blob alert, everybody. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate all of you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yoiks! Yoiks is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go once again with our good friends from Australia, Paul and Syann Hamden. We're talking about Zetas, connection with extraterrestrials. Yes, it seems far-fetched, but there are many people on this planet who are in contact. And Paul and Syann are 2 of them. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio, Paul and Syann.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I want to get some audience questions right off the bat here because they are building up. And when they build up like this fast, I know the audience is excited in our chat room. So we're just going to bring it on out. Kim in San Francisco, pardon me, wants to know, what do they look like to you, if not scary beings?
They look exactly the way that other people would see them, more like the beings from communion. But we'll give an example. Let's say, interestingly, Grush somebody has called these beings biologics. We knew of one of the races that we called the
they go by biological.
They call themselves the biologicals. Now, the thing is with the greys, the abductors, is that their facial structure, they actually look like they've got a little bit of a nose and a structure, whereas the Zetas don't have anything. They've just got 2 small holes and a slit for their mouth. So when we see the beings, or when I see them, and others have seen them, they've been quite tall. We've seen some really small ones. I've had some very small ones, about 2 foot tall, in the house as well, and other people have seen them.
Their skin color varies as well, even like between each race of the species. So, and there's some degree of variation between each of the different races of Zeta, but generally they define their race by their function rather than their genetic makeup or DNA differences.
Okay, let's move on to Shelley here. Anyone ever mention any objects that come with them? Like we hear about all these spheres or crystals or something along those lines. Have they ever given you any objects?
No.
Now, we have said that we will not accept any objects from them.
Hmm.
Spirit people in the past, or even now, through using ectoplasm, can materialize things, and they're called apports. It's the process is called apportation.
Mhm.
The Zetas and other races can also do the same thing, but we have asked not to have anything given to us at all.
Why?
No, just no, because
Party tricks.
it's
isn't
that we don't. You see, this is the difference.
Mm.
We want different levels of evidence. We don't want beings handing us coins or just anything, because ultimately that's not evidence, because spirit people can produce the same level of evidence that way as well.
An object materializing in the room, for instance, is evidence that something has just gone on, but it doesn't tell you what produced the object in the room.
That's right.
We want to know who's behind producing whatever phenomena is occurring. So as a consequence, we're not interested in the phenomena. We want to see who is in the background.
Gotcha. I can understand that on a lesser level. I run a ghost tour.
Hmm.
And one of the things that, as a tour guide, that we do at the local museum is, for us tour guides, we do not allow us to take photos or to gain evidence, because
Mhm.
we don't want people to think that we're tampering with anything for the sake of our own popularity. So I get what you're saying in regards to that. If evidence is going to happen, let it happen with people around you, not that they're going to leave you something and now you have to defend it with a lot of people who may think that you're, trying to pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
They can't do
I mean,
that.
we do have evidence, I guess. If you think of photographs as evidence, some people will say they're fake, and we did once publish a photo online, and then everybody said it was fake, so we never bothered after that.
And then,
But,
of course, you've got witness testimony. People can then say, well, no, those people are just making that up. So in the end, what you do is you just focus on your own relationship and your own evidence, not worrying about trying to convince the rest of the population about what they should be believing. It's more about what do you believe, and what are the levels that you work at with these beings as well.
When we present in person, when we go somewhere, we do show our photographs. We have a lot of audio recording craft coming down of them talking as well. The Zetas talking, clicking, kind of sort of similar to the way a dolphin clicks, but not the same as a dolphin. But we have a lot of evidence of recordings of them clicking, photos of smaller craft over the house, etc. So, but we don't show those online.
It's pointless, really.
Yeah.
I hear you. I do understand for that. Okay, let's continue on here. Let's go to Human Carl here. Do any of the Zeta races worship any type of deity?
No. No, we asked them if they, because of course they've been asked thousands of questions. If you want to read about the answers to these questions, you can just freely download the Zeta Interviews.
Yeah, that's all the raw transcripts, isn't it? All the raw transcripts from just a couple of years worth. Well, actually, about 30% of 2 years worth of sittings. So that's on the website. You can just get it.
But no, they don't. They don't worship a deity, because from their perspective, we need to think about what are their bodies formed of. So they, just as humans are getting to the point where they can create human bodies if they want to, these races are able to produce through maturation their own containers. And so it's quite impersonal for them, but they perceive their incarnation process as just stepping into a maturated physical form. They then animate the form and then just continue on. So from their perspective, they exist in consciousness and then move into these physical forms as required. They don't see that they need to provide any type of religious experience to themselves because of it.
Okay, let's continue on. Let's go to Pixie Lara. That's to put make sure people put their questions in capital letters so I can actually read them. Okay, let's continue on. The Debster is wondering, have either one of you ever been kicked by a kangaroo?
No.
Thankfully, but there's
Yeah.
plenty outside. It's fine.
Oh, yes. Okay, the demon wants to know, do you have any physical evidence
Yeah.
that you
As
can
Syann,
share with?
as Syann just alluded to, obviously
Yeah.
we've taken photographs and we've got audio recordings. We've got audio of the Zetas speaking for themselves. But it's just pointless to put any of this anywhere, because for every 100 people that say that it's not evidence, one person may go, oh look, that's really interesting. So do you want to, you have to ask yourself a question. If you had evidence, would you bother to put it out anyway? Because knowing that people these days just know that it's possible to create these levels of imagery. In the past, though, before the internet, when life was much calmer and there was no social media, if an image was taken with a camera, people would agree and understand that to actually create that image any other way was not possible. And so I think in the past it was a lot easier to provide levels of evidence. These days it's become just about impossible. Ask yourself this question. You go outside, you see a craft in the sky. Whose craft is it? Is it a back engineered human craft, or is it an extraterrestrial craft? Nobody knows now because of the statements that have been made.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to Derek. Derek wants to know, why don't alien greys have hair?
Well, of course,
I would
what
say
you're
that.
going to find is that as humans genetically modify themselves in the future, there will be certain features that people don't want to have. And so, Dave, you may decide that you want a longer beard, I don't know, in your new body.
That would be pretty sexy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It would be. I may do that. Do you think then that the Greys are a future incarnate of humanity?
No, not at all. What you're going to find is there was a document that was given to Congress that talked that the biologics were a plant-based set of beings. We had been given that information years ago. Humans are not plant-based, so.
Okay, let's continue on. Let's go to Peter. Do Greys take on being born on Earth as a human? I don't know if that really makes
I think
sense.
that there's probably a little bit more to that question somewhere.
Yeah, let's move on. All right. Monica would like to ask you, Paul and Syann, do you have contact with other space-fearing races such as the Andromedas? Or space-faring, not fearing,
yes.
faring.
Not the Andromedas. We do have intermittent contact, evidence contact with a few other races, but predominantly we work with the Zetas.
How often are you guys in contact?
Define contact.
Well, is it something that's happening on a daily basis, or is it happening monthly, weekly? Do you just signal them in like a phone call and say, "Hey, we'd like to chat with you guys tonight"?
We have varying levels of contact, from them being in the house when it's nighttime and we're asleep, to being in the house when we're fully wide awake, conscious and talking to people, to the trance-based sitting process where they communicate through pull. So we have varying levels of contact through to craft coming down and all of that.
So we had people from America turn up here a few months ago, and they wanted to sit and talk to the Zetas, which we said that they could. While in the trance state, the Zetas used transfiguration to show them their own face, full face, over the top of me. We've got pictures and of all of this type of evidence, if you want to call it that. So when you ask what level of contact do we have,
it's daily.
It's
depends.
It's a wide range of contact. It's like you could have a level of contact in your dream state, and then the next day you have a level of contact based in your etheric body, which means that you're heterodyning. then another time you may see a craft, or another time you may have a physical being or a distortion around you. So you may have the phenomenon in action as well. This is why we need to come to a point where we understand that contact and disclosure is going to be many different things. It's not going to just be one thing. And a lot of people think that the craft appears in the sky, that's disclosure. Disclosure is happening all around people all the time, but it depends on what form the disclosure takes for somebody.
Okay. Let's continue on here. Let's go to Kira. What does the symbol behind you represent? Does it have a sound associated with it?
There is no sound associated with it in the audio that you could hear, but it definitely has a frequency associated with it. Zeta started working with me to create art, I don't know, 5-6 years ago now, and that's one of the more recent ones I did. And it's a visual representation of the different number of races within the grey species and their collective consciousness represented there in as the pyramid in the center.
It is really beautiful. Do
Thank
they?
you.
One of the questions I want to get back to what you were just talking about moments ago, because a question popped in my head about it. With your contact with them, Paul, I know you do a lot of channeling with the Zetas. Are they ever here to meet with people in physical form with you?
Yes, I have done that, yes.
And how often is that happening?
It's rare because there's various reasons why extraterrestrial or physical beings do not come and visit humans. There's many reasons. One of them that you alluded to before was that when they're in the room, you don't want to turn over. You don't want to view them. You don't want to see them. I then explained that fear is replicated across to them. We have had at least on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've had 7 occasions where they were physical in the room with other people.
Yeah, and then you have this transfiguration process, which, to be honest, isn't it? It's transfiguration plus. Like when these people from America came over and they showed themselves, it wasn't like they just showed themselves over Paul. They kind of, I don't know how else to say it, but they emerged from Paul in 3D solid form for 2 or 3 seconds, skin color, everything. And then kind of went back in. I mean, I don't know what you call that process.
That's on our YouTube channel. If anyone wants to just listen to the people saying what's happening in the room.
Right. Okay. Let's continue on here, and let's go to Gizmo. What do Zetas smell like?
Yes, that's a very good question.
Isn't that a good
It's an
question?
unfortunate situation. I will be straight up. Because Zetas do not eat, they actually use paste.
Yeah.
And they, that's just the way it is.
And their form is not human form.
Yeah.
So when they need to expel the things from their body does not require. They don't do it in the way the human does, but they do it through their skin. And
they emit
a smell,
an odor.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But if you know that they do that,
you know what
fine.
it is. That's a really good way to try and work out if you're having actual physical contact, as if you can smell it.
What's going on in the room.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now I'm curious. What does it smell like? Does it smell like onions, garlic? Does it smell like a cat box? What is ammonia?
I don't know. I don't
want to say it.
We just no. Dave, next question.
Darn it. You're keeping all the tough secrets tonight. Okay, let's go to the demon here. How many fingers, toes? What do they wear for apparel?
Yeah. Well, nothing. They don't wear anything unless they're introducing themselves, and they'll wear a collar with some material on it, which is removed after the first encounter. 3 fingers, no thumb. They have I think you'll find that there's some X-ray evidence of that. Remember, we saw that on that website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the primer, they there's a description of how their fingers rotate
In their sockets.
The abductor greys, and this is a good way to recognize them, have 4 digits, and one of them is a thumb-looking digit.
An opposable thumb.
Yeah.
You know, we had at one point a few years ago, we had a lot of scientists contact us at once. They got together as a group, and they asked to speak to the Zetas through me, and they did 2 3-hour sessions, and we recorded that. And these scientists took the information from the Zetas and then wrote their own books as well. And it's very interesting how a lot of people contact us, get information, and then suddenly start publishing information for them. You know, it's interesting.
All right, let's go to Susie here. What is the type of Zeta that has human features with hair and light skin and huge almond eyes?
They're the Orions.
Have you had contact with them?
Yes.
What are they like?
Have you ever seen the crop circle, which has beware of the deceivers, and it's got the 3 dots down next to the extraterrestrial face with the white eye?
Jill Bolton, Hampshire, UK, 2001, I think. 2001, 2002.
Yeah, we don't really deal with those beings, so
we wouldn't recommend that anyone engages with those beings.
What if you're from Orion?
That's up to you.
Good luck.
How tall are your guys?
Sorry?
They vary, like from 2 foot to 7 foot.
Yeah. Do you remember I was telling you before, Dave, before we were on show, that we had a Zeta physically materialize in the room, and there was myself and I think it was 3 or 4 other people, and the being materialized as Pan, not Peter Pan, but as Pan.
Yes.
I walked over and said to the being that was crouched in the doorway, I had to walk about 5 or 6 meters towards it, full daylight, Pan standing there, goat legs, everything. I said to the being, you're not wanted here. And so the being just popped out. Now, we asked the Zetas years later what had happened there, and they said that they took an image from somebody's mind in the room, and it just so happened that person had been studying mythology, and they thought that if they turned up looking like that we would all accept them that way. But this is the problem, you see. They are trying to work out how to contact humans, but in a way where it's amicable towards all humans. I'll give you an example. You meet an entity, you've never seen it before, maybe a Sasquatch or something. How are you going to communicate with it? You don't even know any of that language. You've got no, information about the protocols that they use to work with each other. So you have to start to try to guess and create certain situations where, if you're trying to contact that being, that it will it will allow you to communicate with it. It's quite an interesting situation.
Oh, for sure. I think we got time to squeeze in one more. We got about 30 seconds here. Let's go to Human Carl. Do any of the Zetas have a permanent or semi-permanent base anywhere on Earth or close to it?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
You going to give that secret, Paul?
No.
Have you been there?
No.
Do you want to go there?
No.
Bring some tea?
No, thank you.
They don't.
I'll go with you.
Remember, it was the Grush and the other people that said that there were craft and bodies. It doesn't take too much thinking about where all this stuff's being used.
Oh, yeah. That we know. Paul and Syann Hamden, we have them till the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue with audience questions. We appreciate the love that all of you are showing tonight. Alien contact. It's a beautiful thing, even though the U.S. government denies it. We'll be right back with Spaced Out Radio for the second half of the show, right after this. Let's see what Dirty has for us. Down here. What do you got here, Dirty?
Dial Z for Zeta.
Hey, you haven't brought me into one in a long time.
Payphones work, apparently.
Wow.
Look, he got you a nice haircut and everything, Dave.
I know. The
Looks
beard is
amazing.
trimmed. The beard is trimmed. You got Carl right there saying hello. About time that bastard comes back. Still pissed.
Well, he got in trouble for backing his UFO into your truck a couple months ago or whatever it was, or a couple years ago.
Yeah. Jerk.
Yeah,
He's
you
getting
can't trust
closer.
him.
I can tell you right now, he's getting closer. I think he's about a year away. I really do.
He's gonna show up with R. Keith Andrews at your front step one day. Then you guys can go for a flight.
I want him to park it right on my backyard, man. I've got the perfect spot for him. Perfect spot.
Can you give him a big body check?
No, hell no. Hell no. You can't do that. Break the poor guy. Don't want to do that.
He's got his little tic tac there too.
I'm going to bring him over to your house for some toast.
Ooh, Mrs. Filth. She makes her own bread once in a while.
Oh,
Have
that's
some
nice.
homemade toast with aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be good. That would be good.
It's perfect because there's a spare parking stall beside me.
Yeah. We'll probably park on your roof and teleport down.
It's a pretty steep roof. The UFO is just going to slide off and crash in the neighbor's house. And they're not going to have insurance to cover UFO crashes.
That's kind of interesting.
I wonder if that's even in any insurance policies. Like, what if a meteorite crashes into your car?
Well, there was that one where a lady got hit in bed by a meteorite that went right through her roof and it landed like literally on her bed while she was sleeping.
I don't know whether I'd want to keep that or give it to science guys. Probably split it in half or something.
I don't know.
I'd be pretty lucky. I'd probably buy a lottery ticket getting missed by a chunk of space rock like that.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Yeah. What if Carl's name is actually Earl?
Oh, that would be painful.
I'm not going back and changing the drawings. That's not happening. That's like 4 years of drawings.
Then Earl's got to die. Remember that song?
What if it's his doppelganger? Do aliens have doppelgangers?
I bet you they do. I bet you they do. These are deep questions you're firing away, Filth.
Oh, I should write these down. Oops. There.
5 Finger Zeta Punch. Nice band name.
Copyright that before somebody else does.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we want to say a big thank you to Susie B, Paul, Lord William, and who else tonight? There's one more. Hold on. And nope, that was started by Lord William tonight for becoming our latest space travelers. We got more coming for you in the next little bit. I'm gonna be busy here the next little bit sending out some swag. I'm excited to do that. I get to send out swag. This is gonna be awesome. Gonna be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it looks like nice.
Hey, I got to talk to you about art-related stuff tomorrow, Dave.
Art-related stuff. Okay. I'll take your phone call.
Excellent.
Let's say thank you to Human Carl, Lord ×2, Cat Chaser, Izzy Stradlin, and Deb ×2 for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. And remember, you can always go shopping on our website, spacedoutradio.com. Yeah. And you can go shopping at filthy.com for some art, because we like filth around here. We do. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello and welcome. Reminder that all of our archives are free. Yeah, we keep them free. Other people may charge for them. We don't. Why? Because I remember what it was like wanting to hear the archives and not having a buck to my name. So our archives are always free. The only thing I want in return, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. Website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join our Space Travelers Club at Patreon. Here we go. Final time tonight. Paul and Syann Hamden. We're talking everything about the Zeta Reticulans. Yeah, they're the good guys of the field. They come party, maybe take you for a round of golf, bowling, share a beer with you. At least, they're trying. They're trying, people. I'm teasing, and I don't mean to, as an ET contactee myself. I just like to have fun with the subject, Paul and Syann, and you guys are absolutely great. Your knowledge is so incredible. What is the main piece of knowledge you have learned over the years, Paul, that you want to share?
I think that you have the ability to get disclosure by doing the right things. So we know that a lot of people are being contacted and even abducted over the many years. We know that craft exists, that bodies exist. We know that people are saying that they have extraterrestrial contact. But what we need to work out is how does that contact look like for us as individuals, not someone telling us what that contact is going to look like. You've got the abilities within you to create the proper level of contact if you do it the way that these races expect you to do it. And that is to be in the right frequency, use common sense, normalize your contact as well, use your meditative states, your mind in a still place, and your breath work to build around you a space that's conducive for proper contact as well. And just like you like to be around nice people, Dave, so do extraterrestrials. And so if they can sense that your energy is one where they can communicate with you, then you offer them that space to communicate in.
Love it. Love it. I do. Let's continue with some audience questions here. Let's go to the Doug Shelby. Do people in Australia get abducted and violated and experimented on and bred for hybrids like people are in the U.S.?
Of course, there's going to be people that contact us. We get contacted by a lot of people in Australia that say that they've been abducted. We work with them to make them or help them to understand what's going on around them. A lot of the times, and this is where it becomes quite complicated, a lot of the times the phenomenon around people can either be an energetic phenomenon or an astral phenomenon, or can be a projection of another person. It could be based around what's called servitor behavior, which is the creation of entities in the astral. So there's a lot more to this, and it's very difficult in a very, in a 30-minute session to discuss this information. But no, we definitely work with people individually in regards to their contact. And quite often people are surprised that they're not actually being abducted. They are existing or experiencing what's taking place for somebody else, but in the astral state.
Okay, let's continue on here. Let us go to Charles. Paul, do the aliens want to do a mass experience to wake the general public up?
No. There will be no, as much as people want disclosure, it can't take place for some very, very good reasons. You'll always see the craft in the sky. You'll always have the individual being contacted, but the mass experience would require multiple craft, millions of beings. We have to ask ourselves what happens to the human mind when they come in contact with extraterrestrials or even extraterrestrial craft. There is damage, and as we discussed before, there are levels of, then your mind is a construct, and if your construct is taken outside of its normal level of frequency, you can suffer psychological damage. So although everybody wants extraterrestrials and aliens, the problem we've got is what happens to the human race when this occurs, and these beings know this.
Okay, let's continue on. Let's go to Anna. Do they have any abduction scars? That's you too, Paul and Syann, or any
Yes.
memory of being examined by them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Plenty.
Yeah, we've got plenty of imagery of
Scoop marks,
and
razor marks,
marks.
all sorts of marks. Yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is a lot of the times when they're taking samples, we'll be fully awake.
Yep.
And just be sitting there, and they'll just say, "Hey, can we just take this?" We'll go, "Yep, go for it."
Yeah.
I'll ask this question. It might seem a little rude, and I hope it doesn't seem that way, but I've talked to a lot of contactees over the years. And one of the things that I have noticed is a lot of these different alien species, for some reason, have a real intrigue in human sexuality. Are the Zeta Greys or the Zeta Reticulans the same way in having curiosity of human reproduction?
No, I think in the beginning, probably about whatever 100 years ago, it may have been an interesting phenomenon. Oh, look at the way that these species procreate. But I would suggest that we still haven't touched on the very important subject of screen memories, and there are a lot of different screen memory categories, and quite often people will have a type B narrative, and that's a secondary screen memory, where they're given a specific narrative by a race, and the race will play that as if on a movie screen to a person, but inside their mind, the person doesn't realize that they're inside some sort of narrative. And it seems very real. It seems that they are flying a craft, and it seems that they are holding an extraterrestrial child. And I know that on some level that this does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I would suggest that from the work that we've done with the Zetas and a lot of other people, that many of the levels of contact that people have are just narratives that are given to humans. And we have to ask ourselves why. Is this because that's the level of contact that the person would accept?
So you don't believe, Paul, in the human hybridization program?
You mean like them taking and sampling and creating human bodies? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Or taking sperm from men and eggs from females and creating a hybrid species.
Oh, absolutely, yes, of course. They're but not on this planet, off world. Absolutely.
All right, let's continue on here. Let us go to Sabrina. Have you guys considered what is occurring is similar to what is depicted in the Peter Pan movies?
Never watched them.
No
So
idea.
No
Sorry.
idea.
I have no idea either. I just ask the questions. Asteroid wants to know, are there many cases of men in black in Australia?
Never heard of it.
We've not come across
We've
it.
never
over
come
here.
across it. I know that it's quite common in the States, I believe, but we've not heard of that as well. But I mean, it's not saying it's not possible, but
It's not something we've come across.
we've just not come across it.
Okay, let's go over to the demon. Have you met any other Zeta experiencers like yourselves?
Many, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And what kind of reaction do they have?
Well, what we do is we generally do a sitting, and I'll go into trance, and then the Zetas will show themselves under controlled conditions, and those people will then also speak to the Zetas. The Zetas can also often give people a history about the level of contact that they've had. So, you were on a craft 25 years ago, and this is what happened to you, and the people just sit there and they're saying, yeah, absolutely, that's what happened. So
Nice. Okay, let's go to Mac Geek. Do the Zetas listen to music? What do they think of our music?
interestingly, I've seen some technology that they use where they provide what's called a resonant field. Now, this sphere sits in an alcove, and when they walk up to the alcove, the device activates and they become one with the resonant field. Think about, you put a record on, Steely Dan or somebody, and you start listening to the music and you get into the groove. So the thing is they would do the same thing, but theirs isn't based around beats and timing. It's based around frequency.
So they're not going to Guns N' Roses, is what you're saying.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
They need somebody to teach them what good music is. All right.
The Foo Fighters.
Anna would like to know, what is the most important info they have given that you can share? I know you've touched on this a little bit.
They're very keen for people to realize, and this is what they say, you are more. You are so much more than you believe yourself to be. Humans have this perception of themselves being a 3D thing, confined to a 3D reality, dependent and reliant on things, substances, beings, or whatever to show them the way forward into the fifth dimension where, I don't know, people think they're going to dissolve or something. But what the Zetas want people to realize is that we have access to abilities in consciousness already, as we are right now, if we would only just take the time and have the patience to learn what we're capable of already as we exist in the here and now.
Okay. With that, with you saying that, do they look like, to me, if I'm being critical, and I don't usually like to be critical, but if I'm being critical, I hear that and I think, to me, that's very vague as a human. Like, this is just something we should all want, we should all strive for, and yet for an ethereal being coming from millions of miles away, I would expect a little bit more. Or as a human, are we, so used to complicating things that we forget about simplicity?
You have autonomic function. Okay. Now, the first thing you did when you were born was you breathe, and it's the last thing that you'll ever do. But you never really think about breathing, and so with the contact with beings, it becomes an automatic process. What do you think?
Yeah, they teach us, and they want people to realize that if we just, I've said it before, just take the time to realize, if we sit with our breath work, with our breath work, we can access so many other places. If you think about mediums, clairvoyant mediums, what are they doing? They're communing with passed over loved ones and relatives that can give evidence to the person wanting to hear from them. Yeah, they can give names, dates, places of birth, important events, all that sort of information that proves to the person that there is a spirit person there communicating with them. These are processes of consciousness that humans are already capable of doing. remote viewing is a process of consciousness that we already use, but people seem to not equate these processes that are already very achievable with being more than our perception of being in the 3D physical plane. And so they want people to stop and think, what really is dreaming, what really is remote viewing, what really is astral travel. If we could get change our perspective on what we view humans are capable of doing, we realize we can actually build upon those processes and access a lot more than we already think we do have access to.
I love it. Thank you for answering that. Let's go to Layla. Hi, Paul and Syann. Which ET or interdimensional race is associated with gold, yellow hexagon lights, please?
Oh, we don't know.
I have no idea. Sorry.
I don't know either. And I apologize.
But I will say, though, that if somebody's experienced that what they should have done is then indicated to that the light, that specific shape, who are you? You see, this is where we fall short in communication. We spend too much time worrying about the external parts without actually trying to communicate.
Remember, we look to evidence who is behind the phenomena. So you've been shown a light. You want to know who's holding the torch. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see where that would play out. Okay, let's head on over to Peppa. Do they, the Zetas, understand compassion and fear, not just know we experience it?
Yes, they
do.
understand.
They completely do. And that's why quite often they use these screen memory processes to avoid us having to have fear, because they don't want us to be in fear.
Okay, Shelley would like to know, who is then messing with our DNA?
Well, isn't that the question?
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Next question.
You don't think? Do you believe that? We know the fellow humans are doing it. We know the stupidity behind that. But do you think there are ET species out there that are manipulating human DNA?
No, not at all. There's reasons why I say no, not at all. Because how easy is it to manipulate human DNA? Let's be upfront here, and you know what I'm talking about.
Well, humans have been doing it.
Humans have been doing it for
decades.
a long time.
Yeah.
What is the purpose? If a race that is millions of years more advanced than humans wanted to change DNA, it's done. So when they talk about DNA upgrades and all this sort of stuff, really, has anybody actually done any scientific, sort of evidence in regards to getting the DNA tested? And people then go, oh, yeah, but there's a lot of junk in the DNA. I think it's a great segue for people. Oh, my DNA has been upgraded, so I'm sort of special or something. We just don't buy any of that sort of stuff, because generally we know that you can get contact without any type of upgrade. That's why I said before, your breath holds for you the capacity for you to get connection if you know how to use your breath correctly.
Okay, let's head over to the UK, where Tony is asking, have the Zetas been in contact with our governments or military? Have they discussed with you the particulars of that contact?
No, sorry, we don't have that information.
Do you think that there are species out there that are in contact with government officials, whether it's Australia, the US, Canada?
Didn't the hearings state that they have craft and bodies?
It doesn't mean that they've had contact.
Oh, really?
Say no more.
Say no more.
I will just go with that. All right. Philip wants to know, do they ever sign contracts with people?
No. And I know that we get people come to us and talk about contractual obligations, not the Zetas. They do not do that. Other beings may, but not the Zetas.
All right. That works for me. Let's go to the next one here. SM wants to know, do the Zetas believe in God or some sort of source?
They understand that source exists, of course. The source sits inside the void. I mean, we sit inside the universes, the multiverses. They sit inside the void as well. And this is how source understands itself through multi-leveled, infinite separation from itself. And so the Zetas do say that they understand source, because in all separation, source exists.
Okay, let us continue on here. Let's go to Sabrina. She says, I was referring to the depiction of manifesting food by picturing it and then thinking about it. The mental energy and belief they held they could create what they wanted instantly. Is that possible for the Zetas to just think of something and have it happen?
Well, if you read the primer, you're going to read about the different levels of apportation and the use of using an etheric body. So I'll give you an example. This glass of water has an etheric body. You have an etheric body. If you take the etheric body, and this is what spirit people do, you can populate the etheric body with fine matter. Now, of course, if you have a copy of some type of food substance, you could theoretically use molecules that are around you to populate the etheric body so that you could ultimately create food.
Okay, let's go to SM. Would the Zetas recommend CE5 and the like?
No, not at all, because what the problem with the CE5 is that you're offering to communicate with beings that
have
not identified themselves to you. And if you think about that, would you do that? Would you do that to yourself with humans? No, you build relationship with humans. So that's the problem with the whole, we're just going to go outside and call in anybody, because somebody will probably come at some point and you may not want them to have come.
C5 is a bit like going to the front door, opening it and shouting for anybody to come in. You know, you might get some really nice people come in, and you might get some really not nice people come in. And then when it's time to go, everyone to go at the end of the day, you ask them all to leave. Well, one person doesn't leave, and it doesn't matter what you do, they will not go.
Yep.
That's why we say try to use a common sense approach. If you're going to call out to beings, call out to your own race. You know, don't just open yourself up to anyone or anything. Common sense, just like we apply every day on the telephone when the bank calls and they want all your information, you go, no, I don't think so. It's the same thing. A being comes to you, ask them to prove who they are before you commit your curiosity or life to it. You need to know what you're dealing with first.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, I've always felt, because, you know, I've explained to our audience recently how to perform CE5, and it doesn't start with a $3,500 withdrawal from your bank account. Okay. And, you know, I've said, you know, when you put that intention out there, you have to be able to, you know, state your purpose. It's not just anybody. I mean, that you could, when you shoot that signal up into space, anybody can grab it. Anything can grab it. You have to be very specific on the terms and conditions of that CE5 contact. That you want peace, you want love, you want of the light, you want positivity.
You want your higher self to contact the race, because your higher self exists as an observer for you, and it is in control of what's taking place around you. If your higher self contacts the race, then it has the ability to communicate with the race, because if you're a hybrid, an extraterrestrial hybrid, your higher self will already know the race and the way to get to the race.
And on that note, Paul and Syann, it's a great way to end it right there and say thank you so much for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. We will definitely do this again, my friends.
Thank you.
Coming up next in hour number 3, we are going to have another story from Steve Stockton. Then Terry Hall will talk to the UFO report, filling in for Tim Senor. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. All right, we are done. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
See you again.
I was going to say, Dave, there's a lot of questions that didn't get answered. If people type them under this video, we'll answer those questions for them.
Yeah. So go to the comment section, put your questions in there. If I didn't get to your questions for Paul and Syann, and they will answer them by typing out answers for you. Is that cool? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
See you later, guys. You take care. All right. Paul and Syann Hamden. Love them. So nice. so nice. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here, guys, in just a couple of minutes. All right. That was a good show, everyone. Good show. Glad you're all here. All right. Big thank you to Deb ×2, Lord ×2, Izzy Stradlin, Cat Chaser, and Human Carl for the super chats. We also want to welcome in our good friends, Susie B., Paul Christensen, and Lord William into the Space Travelers Club, where they are learning all about SOR haiku. Yes, SOR haiku right now. Oh, I have fun with it. I do. You know, I do. All right. And don't forget, you can shop at our store, spacedoutradio.com. If you want to join the Space Travelers Club, the link is below in the description of the show. So make sure you check it on out. I'd appreciate it. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Yoiks! Yoiks is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Hey, it's hour number 3. Let's kick off a great night with Steve Stockton. But first, apparently, I have to load it up. It didn't load up. What's going on here? Dave, you made a mistake. Why is this not happening? All right, let's see if we can get this thing going. Let's try this one here. There we go.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. That takes us up to the Kentucky Cave Wars era. Smaller cave owners in the unproductive caves region saw the tourist traffic at Mammoth Cave and decided to compete for visitors. This led to the Kentucky Cave Wars, which were unethical tactics that diverted visitors from Mammoth Cave to their private show caves. Tourists were misled by signs and campers from other show caves who convinced them that Mammoth Cave was closed or inaccessible. In 1906, a lock and dam were built at Brownsville, Kentucky, enabling steamboat access to Mammoth Cave. Max Camper, a technical college graduate from Germany, arrived in 1909 and collaborated with Ed Bishop to survey the cave and its surface area, leading to several discoveries and new entrances. The Krogan family hid the topographical details on Camper's map. The cave cartography section, however, is still recognized as an accurate representation of the cave. It was only during the modern exploration period in the 1960s that the passages were mapped more precisely. Camper left the Mammoth Cave area and was not heard from again. It was not until the early 21st century that a group of German tourists uncovered Camper's fate. After extensive research, they discovered that Camper had died during World War I in the Battle of the Somme in 1916. In 1912, renowned French cave explorer Edouard Alfred Martel used altitudes obtained from aneroid barometer readings to draw longitudinal sections of the cave as part of his attempts to understand the sequence of its formation. He also noted the correlation between the levels of Echo and Green River. A complete hydrologic study was not possible due to a dam, but Martel described the hydrogeologic features of Mammoth Cave and speculated it was linked to other caves. This hypothesis would be proven correct 60 years later. In the 1920s, George Morrison utilized explosive to create additional entrances to Mammoth Cave on land not owned by the Krogan estate. The Krogans had been exhibiting sections of the cave that were not on their property, as the survey data from Camper, Bishop, and others was not accessible to the public. As a result, legal disputes arose and multiple entrances to the cave were established. American cave explorer Floyd Collins explored the Flint Ridge Cave system for a decade. His most notable discovery was Crystal Cave, and he also explored Salt's Cave. Collins hoped to find another entrance to Mammoth Cave, or possibly an unknown cave along the road to Mammoth Cave, and draw more visitors to drive profits. He made an agreement with 3 farmers who owned land near the main highway. They would form a business partnership if he found a cave and share the responsibilities of operating the tourist attraction. Within 3 weeks, working on his own, Collins explored and expanded a hole that would later be called Sand Cave by the news media. Tragically, Collins died in 1925 while exploring Sand Cave after he became trapped and could not free himself after a 27-pound rock dislodged onto his leg in a narrow crawlway. Despite rescue efforts, he eventually died of thirst and starvation.
And we say thank you to Steve Stockton for another great story from Among the Missing's YouTube channel. You can listen to Steve each and every night to kick off hour number 3 on this show. And we love it when Steve is here. And of course, Steve always brings really cool stories. Go to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing, if you want more just like that. From the missing to the mysterious, we have the UFO report. Filling in for little Timmy Senor, we have Terry Hall.
Nobody's going to know. They're going to know.
Terry Hall with the best mustache in the UFO biz coming in to join us. Tim Senor. Tim apologizes that he can't be here, but his family is on evacuation from a wildfire near their home in Oregon. And, let's wish them well. How's it going, Terry? Have you heard from Tim?
The last time I heard from him, Tim's always got a plan B. Him and the family's okay. They don't live too far from me, and they know that if necessary, they can always come here. We've always got a plan B, but it was 2 years ago. We had to evacuate from this property because of wildfires, and everything's on fire. It was really weird. I looked up the fires. I think it was in Ontario on a Google map deal, and it showed that over this widespread area that all of these fires started at exactly the same time. There's so many conspiracy theories going around right now.
Oh, I hear you there, buddy. I hear you there. But you know what? Sometimes Mother Nature takes a strange course in direction where she wants to go, and we don't have much control of it. And so that's kind of the way I like to look at it without getting too deep into the conspiracies that may be out there regarding it. I know up here where I am, we're in a forest fire area. We are not affected at all. There's no fires, thank goodness, knock on wood, around my area. And I think we're safe. Like today, we only got into single digits in the Celsius realm. Not like, I think Fahrenheit, we would have been around 55 degrees today. So, wow. I mean, that's not warm for August, but you know what, it happens, and it's just the way it is. One of the things I wanted to talk about is at the latest Republican party where they're going for their leader for the run for the presidency in next year's election. Chris Christie, the governor of New Jersey, was asked the UFO question. A lot of people started laughing. A lot of people started giggling under their breath when it was asked. And he kind of made fun of this answer, basically saying, and I'm paraphrasing here, he doesn't have time for them UFOs, doesn't think that it's worth anything to be looking into this. I look at that comment that everything that's gone on. One of the other things that he said was that these whistleblowers are coming out and not showing any evidence. I look at what he said as something as he's either A, not very interested in the topic, B, doesn't want to waste time on the topic looking into seeing what the information provides and the evidence provides, or C, he knows that the military industrial complex has a lot of money invested in New Jersey and doesn't want to mess with that. Terry, we're going to see the UFO question come up quite a bit in election time coming up here over the next year. Do you think, or first off, let me get your opinion of Chris Christie's uh, arguments here on UFOs.
Uh, Chris Christie, it's fitting that he comes from New York because I think that's where the term originated, swimming with the fishes. That guy is so fishy. He's wishy-washy. He'll go back and forth. Now, you and I discussed it not too long ago on what Representative Burchett and his crew were doing. I mean, they just did that deal on the 21st. If this blows up, you said Burchett's going to look like a fool. Well, this is going to come up more and more and more. And we're going to see that it's not exactly as nonpartisan as you might believe. It might be nonpartisan across the aisles, but you're going to have some people that play to the crowd and some people that don't. Christie at that point in time was playing to the crowd. Now, if this turns out not to be just a story and the evidence is presented, or he gets taken into a skiff and shown something, is he going to turn back around and then acknowledge that the fact, or are they going to use him as just the kind of scapegoat and show him things that he can't admit, so he's got to stay on that side? What do you think?
Well, I think it's one of those topics where none of them really want to get into. Okay, I mean, look, you start going down the conspiracy road, tinfoil hat. There's a lot of politicians out there who still feel that if they get into this UFO subject, that it's going to immediately cancel any chance they have at the presidency or any position they are running for. Okay. And I also look at it as I think Chris Christie just lost a number of votes from people who have been paying attention to this topic. And I think his answer, if you go back and watch the video, I think it's very arrogant. I think it's very pompous. And is that the type of person you want on any topic that comes up, whether it's UFOs, whether it's humanity or healthcare or defense or whatever it may be? Do you want somebody who gives a pompous answer? Yes, it's the preliminary hearings, it's the first one, okay, or the debates or whatever they're called down there. I apologize. I'm not up to date on my American politics at this early in the level. But
American politics, that's an oxymoron, Dave.
well, I understand that, but the idea behind it is I don't believe that he gave a quality answer to
No.
a question. His job, as for any politician's job, is to answer the question, not be smug about it because you don't like the question or you don't believe in the question. Okay. He immediately changed the topic before turning back and saying, no, he's not going to waste any time on UFOs. But I
Well,
think
I
it
guess
also,
you, I
go ahead.
guess you might. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you're talking about basically they're running away, not giving quality answers. Well, you don't watch the president's press secretary very often, do you? Because
Oh,
that's
yes,
all she does.
but that's her
They're
job.
it's gotten to the point down here, Dave, that they've gotten so used to being able to do that, they don't even think that it's wrong anymore. There's no moral dilemma for these people any longer because that's just the way that it's done.
No, I can understand that. I can appreciate that. Okay, but for me, we knew this question. I didn't expect this question to come up as quickly as it did, but we knew UFOs was going to play a topic in the 2024 election, no matter what. And here we go, right off the bat in the run for the Republican Party here, and you know I guess I look at it like this. I think if they would have asked somebody else that question first, it might have been answered differently. If they would have focused that question in on Ron DeSantis, who has had comments on UFOs, I think it would have started a little bit more impressive than Chris Christie making fun of this UFO topic and the
Well,
whistleblowers that were
they're
there.
being softer on DeSantis because they might want to try to turn him into their golden boy.
He does have nice hair.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna see a whole. I mean, DeSantis makes his own headlines. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. But you've got to stop and think that one of the things that people thought about a previous president was that he was going to be the quote unquote disclosure president. Um, he really didn't beat around the bush a whole lot when asked about it, especially by his uh, by his son. I mean, we all know I'm talking about Trump. Um, if he gets back into office, what's going to happen? Nobody knows. He had the opportunity to do it then. Obama's turned around on it pretty well, almost 180 degrees, pretty well, from being sarcastic about it on uh, late night TV to giving pretty solid, serious answers about it. There's something in the sky. We don't know what it is, and it deserves investigation. But this is the only subject that science does not apply. Generally, in science, if you, or maybe Egyptology too, and I'll explain. If you go to any other scientific query, the idea is to be able to study it. If you have an idea or if you have evidence, then it's to study it. Avi Loeb said it best is that this is the only subject, UFOs, to where if you have an idea and you have evidence, it's made fun of. It's put on the bottom shelf. Nobody wants to talk about it. And honestly, if you ask these politicians, they can't even give you a solid reason why they make fun of it. It's just always been done. I hate to label it this, but it's the good old boys, um, kind of justice. That's just the way that it's done. They've mocked it for so long that if it does prove to be true, all Christie's got to say was, you know what, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Not be in the headlines for a day or two and then bounce right back because people will forget. Attention spans are about that long. People will forget that he even said that.
Well,
So
you know what?
he's safe.
We are going to see how quickly this storyline picks up over the next year and what really happens with it, because I think it's going to continue to happen.
Oh, I
And
think we're going to see it more and more and
this,
more.
this
Mhm.
isn't the last time that we are going to see the UFO question asked. But there is a big topic that we do need to talk about, and we'll carry this over into the next half hour as well, Terry, as
Okay.
more and more politicians are coming out, and I hate to bring politics into this, coming out about whether or not UFO subjects are really, really worth studying anymore. There are politicians that are secretly and publicly complaining about the fact that we don't need any more UFO hearings, that it's a waste of time, that we need to be putting our efforts elsewhere. I mean, if you look politically right now, there's a huge story out of Russia where it looks like there may have been a hit on a certain member of a military contracting company where their owner, Mr. Perzogin, is no longer with us. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world right now with instability. And is there really a place for UFOs um, when it comes to American security?
It's a big dinner table, though. You got to stop and think about that. The military industrial complex. There's a guy that sits at a desk just like we do, except for he makes about 20 times the money that we do. And all he does is say, okay, you can send some over there and send some over there and send some over there and send some. That's all this guy does. Right. And if they can take this out of the black realm where the Pentagon has $1 trillion a year, or 2 trillion, or $20 trillion a year that they can't. Well, let's not discuss that because the last time Rumsfeld said something like that, something really bad happened the next day. But it's a great big dinner table. So is that why they're pushing for it? Do they want major league funding that they don't really have to hide anymore to do, say, material research or energy research, especially with as hard as this administration is pushing renewable energy sources and cutting off oil sources. Maybe this is the next step. I mean, that could be why they're pushing the agenda that they're pushing. Maybe they're ready to take the next step. Um, you know, a lot of people say the reason why we don't have Tesla Tech is because Westinghouse was one of the guys who funded him. I mean, it was like one of his major league funders. And when Tesla told him what his intentions were, he said, how am I supposed to put a meter on that?
Well, we do know that this is a story that many are really judging. And like Tim and I have talked, you and I have talked both privately and publicly, that the military industrial complex wants this story to go away. They don't want to play this UFO game, and they have no problem threatening Congress people and senators and governors about the fact that if you keep talking UFOs, we'd hate for your state to lose some military contracts and have a bunch of people unemployed. That's not going to do well for your popularity coming into election time. I mean, there is big fear going on with that, Terry, as we got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, there is. There's also a town, talking about the military industrial complex. There's a town in Alabama. All they do is make A1's Abram tanks. The tanks have been obsolete for years, but if they don't make the tanks, the town doesn't eat. So, with as much stuff as the public sees anymore, and both you and I have been told that some of this isn't from non-human intelligence, it is our own technology. In order to keep us safe, it goes back to the same reason why they've been covering this up for as many years as they have, is because it's national security.
All right, when we return, Congressman Tim Burchett a little bit upset that there's things going on and cover-ups happening. We'll get into that when we return on Spaced Out Radio and the UFO Report featuring Terry Hall tonight. We'll be right back. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio next.
Chris Christie, indeed.
Oh,
My
yeah.
goodness. David, like, it has really gotten to the point down here of just ridiculousness. I mean, I can make you a bet right now that come this next election, that no matter which party wins, the other party's going to say it was a rigged election.
Mm-hmm. It'll always happen.
They've said the precedent's been set, and I mean, for them to be using the tools that they use now, using the FBI as a weapon and so forth, things that they've proven, it's if our founding fathers could see where we're at right now, I think they would all die of apoplexy and go right back to the grave.
Maybe, my man.
It is interesting, though, that Burchett seems to be gathering quite the following behind him now.
We'll talk about that when we get to the.
I was a little bit surprised about that. I say I've been a little bit behind because I've been doing my wife's honey-do list, and she's been keeping me really busy on top of your regular day-to-day stuff. So I fell behind a little bit. So I got caught up a little bit today, and I was surprised by a couple of things.
Well, we all get surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always surprised at how luscious your mustache is.
Oh, I'm surprised at how much attention even the older cases are getting now. I get a kick out of this. I think it's really cool. And they're looking at abduction victims. I mean, Betty and Barney Hill are just as popular, if not more so, than they ever were back in the day.
Oh yeah. Just give me 2 seconds here, bud.
Hello, Phoebe.
What's that one? That ain't it. Bear with me here, dude. Just letting everybody admire your mustache right now.
Well, as you know, I moved my office back into the house, and my dogs are just overjoyed. So the first day the office was back in here, it was a little bit hectic until they got used to it again. But now they're just so cool about it, and it's cool to be able to hang out with my dogs all day again. So yeah,
That is awesome. I love your dogs. They're so cute.
I got the biggest one. I mean, they range from, I don't know, 140 pounds down to, I don't know, 15 or so. There's one right here, and one right here, and one right there, and one right there, and one right there, and the other one just went that way.
Perfect. All right, my friend. Big thank you tonight to Deb Lord, each with 2 super chats, Cat Chaser, Izzy Stratland, and Human Carl. Very much appreciate the love and support, guys. It's real kind of you all. And thank you to our new space travelers tonight, Susie B., Paul Christensen, Lord William. We greatly appreciate it. And we got to get some stuff off in the mail to you guys soon. And because we want to provide some swag back. Of course we do. Of course we do. And Here's the big one. You can do shopping in our Spaced Out Radio store. You can. You can. It works right there.
And Dave's got some really cool swag too.
Hold on, Terry. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, do us a favor, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go again. Terry Hall is filling in for Tim Senor tonight on the UFO Report. We need some love and support for him. Send him good thoughts because he got evacuated from his house due to a wildfire in his part of the state of Oregon. So we're wishing him well with his family. We know they're safe, and that is the main thing right now. But we continue on with Terry Hall. Terry, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, as always.
No problem, my man. No problem. Here's a story, we all talk about Congressman Tim Burchett, where he just will not let go of this UFO story. And here's a story out of Fox News. Lawmakers have demanded details from the intelligence community about alleged secret programs that retrieve crashed UFOs and reverse engineer the technology. UFO whistleblower David Grush alluded to both programs in statements under oath during the July 26 House Oversight Committee hearing that highlighted decades of alleged government secrecy around UFOs, now referred to as unidentified anomalous phenomena. But he said he could not divulge any more details in public hearings because of an open whistleblower reprisal case against him. 6 members of Congress have since signed a letter to the Inspector General, Thomas Monheim. They are Representative Tim Burchett, Jared Moskowitz, Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace, Eric Burleson, and Andy Ogles. Okay, now, during the UAP hearing, David Grush testified that he could not provide specific details about UAP crash retrieval programs or reverse engineering programs, but said the intelligence community inspector general could, said Representative Burchett on Twitter. So my colleagues and I wrote to him to ask for details. Grush testified during the hearings that he knows colleagues who were injured while reverse engineering UFO tech and said the government absolutely has had UFO tech and biologics of non-human origins since the 1930s and knows the exact locations where they're being held. He said during the hearing that he can provide specifics in a classified setting. So he goes into this. I can't get into the specifics in an open forum, but what I personally witnessed myself and my wife was very disturbing, said Grush, a former U.S. intelligence officer and Air Force veteran. I faced brutal, unfortunate tactics of retribution that he called administrative terrorism. In the aftermath of the congressional hearing, Grush's medical records were leaked in what some described as an attempt to discredit his testimony. Medical records detailing his struggles with mental health, including PTSD, grief, and depression after his return from Afghanistan, specifically mentioned incidents in 2014 and 2018 when he was transferred to a psychiatric unit and inpatient program. Reporter Ross Coulthard, who broke the Grush's claims about the secret UFO retrieval program, posted full statements on Twitter back on August 8th. This riled up lawmakers like Burchett, who said in a response to the above tweet on August 8th, trying to discredit a decorated veteran like David Grush shows the desperation of the group trying to hide the truth. They will fail. He followed with a scathing tweet the next day Tell me who illegally leaked Grush's health records, and I will bust their ass. Grush was one of 3 key figures who testified during the hearing, which also included firsthand accounts from military pilots Ryan Graves and David Fravor, who have witnessed and, in Fravor's case, engaged UAPs while in the air. Fravor, a retired squad leader of the Black Aces, who served 18 years as a Navy pilot, spotted what has become known as the Tic Tac UFO during a 2004 training mission. The object was far superior than anything he had seen. Now, during the hearings on July 26, 3 other key figures in the fight to release UFO-related records sat behind the speakers, including investigative reporter George Knapp, filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, as well as Charles McCullough. McCullough was President Barack Obama's former intelligence inspector general who represented Grush in his complaint. The congressional record of the hearing also includes letters written by Knapp and Corbell for the report. After listening to the witnesses' testimony for more than 2 hours, Representative Ogle said there's clearly a threat to national security of the United States. My question is where? The House's hearing followed the Senators' bipartisan legislation to declassify and release UFO records that brought political foes like Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Marco Rubio together. So when you hear all of this, Burchett doesn't seem like he's willing to let things go. He's trying to be able to get Grush to say what he can on the record. I mean, Terry, where do you stand on this?
Burchett needs to get the proper clearances to be able to go into the skiffs and get the briefings that others have had. The guy who's representing Grush is McCulloch, and he used to be in Obama's administration. So there's not lightweight people behind it. And Burchett, speaking of him, has basically got the whole East Coast involved in this. You've got representatives from North and South Carolina, from Florida, AOC from New York. I mean, it's East Coast centric right now, but well, we know that one particular representative that we were talking about earlier from Florida has had that classified briefing. So until some more leaks out about that, there's got to be something more behind this besides just some money for them to be pushing it this hard. Because Dave, even up to 6 months ago, I could ask my neighbor, "Hey, did you hear about what happened in Congress with UFOs, yada yada?" Nope. What are you even talking about? Now it's being presented more and more into the public eye to where when you ask questions like that, people are, if they're not really familiar with it, at least they have a passing familiarity with it. There's got to be something here. I mean, they're attacking it every which way they can. They attacked Grush. They were saying that Corbell and Knapp were manipulating Congress. Just all kinds of silliness going along with this. Attacking a veteran for something that he was reaching out for help for. Uh, he adapted, improvised, and overcame, just like they teach him to do in the military. You know, I think that Burchett is leading a charge because behind closed doors, he's been told something that, and is he a tool? Could be, but if he's a tool, his toolbox is growing. What do you think?
Well, I think that he is starting to see doors close on this subject. I really do. And I don't think he likes it. I think he is starting to see a backlash with fellow politicians who are not supporting the whole UFO field and want it to go away for whatever that situation may be, whether it's because they don't believe in it or whether that they are, worried about the military industrial complex coming in and moving jobs to states that are more cooperative, in states that aren't playing the UFO game or whose representatives are not playing that same game.
Well,
Okay.
excuse my ignorance, but in Parliament, you guys have Parliament in Canada, right?
Yes.
Okay, do you have lobbyists in Parliament?
We do, but it works different. They're capped on how much they can spend.
Oh, well, we don't have that particular affliction down here. And I think the lobbyists have a lot to do with the pushback on this.
I mean, the big thing is, though, with what's happened with David Grush, with not only the hit piece that was written on his health, okay, but we see others out there now trying to push this story away. What does this do, in your opinion, for other potential whistleblowers? Like Grush didn't, we have to remember, David Grush did not witness a thing. He was told,
Mhm,
okay, he's
mhm.
passing on secondhand information and notes that he has taken and notes that he has been given. I mean, is he worthwhile? Absolutely he is. I think the guy's telling the truth. 100%. Okay. And the fact that he even owns up to the fact that he has not seen anything with his own eyes, that he's going off of anecdotal stories of superiors and fellow investigators, I think that's okay. But apparently, there were 3 or 4 A League people who were going to plan to testify as whistleblowers regarding this subject, who have had firsthand encounters with UFOs, maybe with NHI, non human intelligence, and the program, the crash retrievals, the reverse engineering. What does this do to them? What does this do to those witnesses who may now look back at their career and say, geez, I had a rocky first marriage, I don't need that coming out, or I
Well,
had PTSD coming out of Afghanistan too, I don't want to go through what he's going through. I mean, this closes a lot of doors, Terry.
for okay, if I'm just looking at it in first person perspective, if it was me, it would make me really gun shy. I mean, it, pretty much what this has proven is that just like for the last little while, if you've done anything in your past that you are ashamed of, regret, don't want the public to know about, tough luck. It's going to come out. And that's in any given situation anymore. So that's pretty much to be expected. But with Grush, if his stories are true, as far as how he's been treated since this happened, it's not just him that he needs to worry about. It's friends and family members and things like that. But the deal is with these whistleblowers is there has got to be a preponderance of of evidence in order for it to make it this far. It can't just be hearsay. I mean, and that's what everybody keeps saying. Well, it's secondhand, it's hearsay. Well, in order for it to get to the point that it's at now, it's got to have gone past that to a preponderance of evidence to be presented in a congressional hearing. And no one is taking that. Very few people are taking that into consideration. That
No,
and he's testified under oath. If he's lying, he's going to jail. And but for potential whistleblowers, for me, like I said, I would be gun shy as heck. I would, and it's not just the whistleblowers; it's the people who are like, okay, they went after Grush came out more or less through Ross Coulthart. Coulthart, quote unquote, broke the story. Okay, we know that he was doing things behind the scenes prior to him coming forward, but Cole, and they went after him. Well, look at his track record. He did this and this and this in his past, and so it's not just the whistleblower. It's not just the messenger. It's who the messenger is taking the message to and expecting the message to be told. So it's everybody. It's for this to go forward. They need to do well today. On the 21st was a good start when they sent the letter to the inspector general. That was Burchett trying to get some of the pressure taken off and get those doors back open. But what that's going to do to anybody in the future who's willing to come forward, the proof is in the pudding. When someone can come forward and it not affect them, then maybe more will. But until then, it's only going to be the few and far between.
But Terry, I mean, we also have to look at it too. Is the ranting of Tim Burchett starting to lose steam regarding this topic? Because they're not showing any videos. The alphabet agencies and the military branches have basically shut down this part of the conversation. They don't want anything coming out. Okay. They've attacked, you know, they've attacked David Grush worse than they ever attacked Lou Elizondo. I mean, at what point does Tim Burchett standing on the pedestal get knocked down for people telling him to shut up and just get back to work, stop worrying about the UFO stuff? It's irrelevant.
We got two sides of it. You've got that one really irritating guy at work who just irritates everybody, but if you really think about it, he's trying to do the right thing. He's just going about it in the wrong way. And Burchett being the filibuster, the guy that's always on the pedestal, it's either going to get pushed to the point to where the doors will open back up, or like you said, why has this failed so many times? We've gotten to this point several times before, and each and every time it's failed because you have a big push to begin with and everybody's behind it because the public's behind it. And then once it fizzles out, it just fizzles out. They keep saying there's too much toothpaste out of the tube in this one, but all they got to do is, just like they do in other countries, just quit reporting about it and life will go on until something's parked in our upper atmosphere and it's burning a hole coming through the clouds and it's, you can't deny it anymore. It can be swept under the rug again.
Well, I agree with you on that. And I think that's what they are trying to do. They are trying to push this story back under the rug where they feel it needs to stay. I mean, we've said it many times before. We sound very repetitive when I say this. There are very few topics on this planet that are going to affect every single person. Okay? This is one of them.
Yeah.
And I believe firmly, and I'm more and more convinced every day, that the biggest reason why they want to push this under the rug is there are too many secrets. The story is coming out way too fast, and there are too many secrets to cover up that they need to worry about. Okay, we're talking major lawsuits here. We're talking
No,
maybe
it goes
taken. It goes deep.
it goes so far past major lawsuits, Dave. I mean, are we going to have to come to the grand conclusion that you're not Canadian and I'm not American, we're earthlings? What happens then when the borders really do fall and we're earthlings? We're not Russian or Iranian or Afghani or Italian or English or American or Canadian. We're earthlings. What are we going to do then? Is that why they're panic? Is that why so many of the politicians are panicking about this? Because eventually those jobs are going to be gone. You know, uh, are politicians going to have to be issued a what do they call it? It's the monthly stipend thing, but it's the one that's government mandated. It's not welfare. It's a universal basic income. Are politicians going to be on universal basic income, Dave?
I don't know. We can barely figure that out. I can say this. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has tweeted out, UAP question made it to the primary debate stage for good reason. Christie missed the mark, per usual. That's a nice shot.
That's a really good shot. But she's on the opposite team as well. And it, it's been said so many times before, any press is good press. Burchett is still in the news. Chris Christie just made it in the news. We're sitting here talking about Chris Christie for something that he said, and he's not upset about it, I'm sure. And neither is Anna Paulina. I don't think she's upset about it either, because she's coming back hard from the other side. It's going to happen until we have a UFO in the front yard, or until it's proven that we're all crazy. And you've always got that one guy in a room that's got to be opposite of everyone else. Well, you've got two political parties which were both, well, we're not graced with, but we had two political parties, and they keep saying it's across both sides of the aisle, but I think we're going to see a real development on who's on one side and who was on the other, and it's going to happen a lot sooner than most people expect. I think that this is going to drive I think it's going to drive it forward, Dave.
Well, let's see where it goes. Terry Hall, thank you for filling in for Tim Senor tonight on the UFO Report. We really do appreciate it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. There we go.
You ever feel like you're being watched, Dave?
What's that?
You ever feel like you're being watched? You've got that little. I guess it's a Grim Reaper with the red eyes, and it's always looks like it's staring right at the top of your head, man.
Oh, right up there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I just got to refresh my Spreaker here because my chat room isn't loading for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Hold on a second here. Let's see if this works.
No, way to go, Dave. You left me on screen. Everyone's running away.
There we go. Yeah, we're up and running. Hello? I'm going to type hello. Hello? All right.
Oh, I see it. All right, buddy. I'm taking off.
Yeah,
You
go
guys
get
have
some
a good
man.
rest of your night.
I appreciate you, dude.
The air quality here is horrible.
Same here.
Yeah. All right. Ciao for now, everybody. Thanks for having me, Dave.
We shall talk soon, Terry.
Yes, sir. Ciao for now.
Later. I don't know why my chat room is freezing here tonight. Can't read a damn thing you guys are saying. Can't read it. Can't read it. Oh. Is it updating? No. No, it's not. I don't know why. Let's try view on YouTube. I don't want audio. There, now I got the chat room. I'll just change that to live chat. Laura McCarran, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. These others fully making improvement across the board on YouTube. This isn't a YouTube thing. This is a StreamYard issue right now. Oh, I didn't want to hit that, but I did. All right. Let's go like this. Let's go like that. Close that. Open that. Go there. Click that. I don't know why that chat room isn't moving. So weird. Not like I touch anything. Oh, that's a new feature. Hi, I'm Dave. All right. Let's just go like this. We'll just play on this side. Any questions for old Davy Pooh here? Any questions? Put them in capital letters, please, so I could actually read them. Hi, Tim, and your goatee. Oh, that's way off. Oh, hold on.
Homes, quality homes built with care.
What the hell is that?
But the Zetas, from their perspective,
Amazon 5-star reviews presents Works Better Than BO.
but the Zetas, from their perspective,
What the hell is
their
that?
perspective.
Amazon 5-star reviews. Amazon 5-star reviews presents Works Better, my friend.
For you, quality homes built with.
What the Sam hell?
Amazon 5. Amazon 5.
What the fudge?
Amazon 5-star reviews presents Works
/quick check. Hey, you got this. Ready to take on the world. Whatever it is.
What the son of a bitch is going on here? When did this start? Holy cow. What the Sam Hill? Spaced Out Radio. Our website, Spaced Out, due to a wild kind of whoops all around.
Where there were 12
That luck.
phenomenon. The phenomenon is basically where people go outside and as a group, maybe you can see 5. The phenomenon, it's just reflecting back people's consciousness to themselves, or it's actually craft. But I've always said to the Zetas, I've got a really big problem with that because I'm skeptical, and so
Hey, you got this.
I've got a really big problem with that because I'm skeptical, and so
Hey.
As I was tired of people sitting too near me. Real reviews, really.
So I want to know that.
Really.
So I want. I'm skeptical, and so.
Hey. 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 Hey.
Oh, piss off. Oh my God. This is a nightmare. Why did it download with...
Conditions and limitations apply.
Oh my
big problem with that because I'm skeptical, and so.
Hey, you got that.
Oh, fuck off. This is not good. This is not good.
Every day better. Real Amazon customers, real reviews are some next. Rico, my friend. Rico, my friend. Those are some next level problem solving skills. Public transportation. The book worked like a charm. 5 stars. As I was tired of people on Amazon. As I was tired of people sitting too near me on public transportation. Better than BO. Today's customer review is for.
Or it's actually craft. But I've always said to the Zetas, I've got a really big problem with that because I'm skeptical, and so. Skeptical, and so my life actually means something that's important to me, right? So if they have to provide proper, what are they able to? Not set wrong person, sorry, wife. Other people, there's multitudes of testimony as well.
And would you mind
Level to
and playing you may or may not have heard
about Syann.
Oh, me. Yeah, okay. I was looking for Zara. Basically,
and they're known as hybrids on planet.
The help? Are they wanting to try and
viewing that you by Stephen
mental side?
I think, or they're abducted.
All in Syann, Hamden. All of this great information when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Oh my God! This just added major time. Oh no. I'm not reading the chat room right now. I'm stressing out. Like, this is not good. All right, there's one. So now let's try number 2 here. In contact and having,
No matter where you are,
producing garbage, treat people.
no matter where you are in your housing journey,
Garbage, treat people better. You drive electric cars, you know,
They their own environment for the being,
you know, or in a
because
they don't do any be better galactic neighbor.
these beings we call it heterodyning. So once we heterodyne into a comparative frequency, we can then start to observe them while they observe us.
The solution for you.
From us. And this is why quite often when you want to experience
of knocking us, what would it be?
And worse, our minds per conscious recall frequency, they come down, which is also consciousness.
then this psychology, talking about the Zeta, and what happens is they don't want to disrace. You've got to abide by, we're not working for you.
Radio. This is Flying On By with our guest, Paul and Syann Hamden, who are visiting us.
And we'll sign on. The only level of contact that you can have with them is rather
You have no idea how much this Donovan, I haven't I have not. Nothing. And we're proud that your cat hears you fart. Right on. Good for you. Good friend, Andy,
the race eyes or
what
to take photos or to
everybody said it was in clicking.
No.
Years.
taking
uh
photos. People would who's crazy
I don't alien graze then that
are not
with others.
Other race
Well, is
when we
a full which
in the
beautiful. Do
one of them that you were in the room
and they, I don't know what.
let's go.
actually use paste
Yeah,
and they
that's a really good way.
I don't know
They
record.
Susie
They're the Orions
Ryan.
attached in the doorway. I had to, it will allow. Absolutely, of course.
The lovers. Oh, no, we didn't have. So weird. Let's see. So weird. Let's see what. Morning, Mike Arrington. How you doing, buddy? I want to see that video. Send that to me, Joe. Okay, what am I doing here? Saving. Donovan, are you here just to be a pain in the ass troll, or are you here to hang out and have fun? I'm really not in the mood. Hit that everything absolutely
Look like conducive.
in the U.S.
conducted section the craft for
Just going to talk to a
green memories, and we have in creating human bodies. Is that what you? That's the level of contact that the person would accept.
So you don't believe, Paul, in the human hybridization of Sabrina?
Become speak to the you put a see.
ALI is going to dissolve to
Real being coming from millions of
we can access to also build.
man.
This is where
Let's head. I'd like to know, like
what I'm talking. Type of
military,
not the Zetas. They do not do that. Other beings may, but not the Zetas.
I'm never interested in a Discord channel. SM. There's just too many issues with it, and I know a lot of people for the fellow hosts like that have had on the terms of a lot of or Tim Casino or Spaced Out Radio continues after this on there, even with moderators. It's pretty scary. I had one friend of mine, here he is off asleep, and all of a sudden at night there's a bunch of racist crap and that was going on, and I don't have time to deal with stuff like that. The other thing is I'm not a fan of Discord because I've tried I've been on Discord before and chatting with people, and on the phone app it's damn near impossible to take to turn it off, and I don't really like that. I don't really like that whatsoever. All right.
Not on their paper cable.
He's always got
nature.
And he's non
answer that.
Santa's sarcastic person.
This isn't of
20 times the money. So
the rest of them just seem to be good. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out a chat room forum for our space travelers. It's touchy subject. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of Discord. We do have a Facebook group, Philip Blair. We do have that. I can put the link up. Hold on. If you're on Facebook, you can join here. No, on Discord, Sapphire Elf. Here we go. Details of an government key spy.
Eccentric taking a rep to the public along
that
this and
merchant
lawsuit.
We can barely
on who's on one side and who was on the other, and it's going to happen a lot sooner than most people expect. I think that this is going to drive the
Let me look at Telegram. We'll look into Telegram. We will. To Mothman, I agree with you. By the way. Hey, Random Gee! What's happening? Random Gee is here. You're drunk. Okay. I saw you on Big tonight. You have to sign yourself up, buddy. There are other ways you can do it. I can't sign you up. I've astral traveled, SM. I'll check that out for you, Derek. Random Gee. We love it when he's here. That one's done. Thank you, SM, for joining us. Kawhi, how you doing? Well, that's a nice frame to freeze on. Evan Walters, you pissed me off. You're a little late. No, it isn't Zeta Talk Lady. There's that. This, that, go here, that's done, transfer that, and then we'll go like this, folder, all right. We're going to say goodnight tonight. Thank you to Derek, Human Carl, Lord ×2, Cat Chaser, Izzy Stradlin, Debster ×2 for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. Thank you for the love. And everybody, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, and leave a comment after the show. And we will see you all tomorrow night, where our guest will be Brian Bowden. We're talking Dogman and other strange cryptids tomorrow night on the show. Don't forget to like and share and hit the Space Travelers Club, will you? We'd love to see you there. All right, guys, you take care. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.